It's time to down tools for a bit. Welcome to the ToolShed, the influential podcast for anyone and everyone involved in the building industry. Here's your host, Mick.
Hey folks, welcome to this episode of the ToolShed Podcast. In this episode, we're going to be talking about something that is very, very important to me because Builder's Business Black Belt is run by a husband and wife team. A lot of the Builder's Business Black Belt members are builders run by husband and wife. And so we're very, very well aware of the challenges that pop up working and living and cohabitating and all of that sort of stuff together. And in this episode, I'm talking to Verity Hare, and she established an organisation called Tradie Wives, and it's a very familiar story where the wife kind of gets sucked into the business, just trying to help, and then there's all of these spinning plates that you've got to try to figure out how they work, and I'm led to believe Verity had a blinding flash in the shower, which is where all of our great ideas come from. And this idea grew legs and has gone crazy, and now they've got about 25,000 plus people on Facebook and all sorts of amazing things. And I'm really excited to learn a whole lot more about Tradie Wives. Verity, thanks very much for joining us on the podcast. Tell us where you are at the moment. Where do you hail from?
I am from Sydney, and very excited to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me on.
Well, was really glad that you shower. Like that's a good start. That you're into hygiene. I always like to speak to people who are into hygiene.
Is that what got me over the line?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. We always make sure the people on the podcast shower. Very important.
Yeah.
But I mean, it is crazy. You're there in the shower. Sometimes you maybe in the dunny, whatever. But the inspiration always just seems to come in those quiet places. But I'd just love to know the backstory. That Craig, your husband, had a landscaping business. What was going on that sort of sucked you into the business? Were you working yourself? Did you have a job? What was going on when you decided to lend a hand?
Well, I think a lot of the time, traditionally, it's kind of the women that end up in the trade by default. You know, whether they want to or not, they end up being sucked in, like you said. Whether it's like they've had children or they just get sucked in. But for me, I was sort of watching Craig from afar for a little while. He had the business quite a while before we met, and I'd sort of watch him get busier and busier and busier and spend all day on the tools, you know, in the summertime in the heat, coming back exhausted, and then all these people calling and the invoicing, all the office stuff that had to be done. And I could see he was just sort of really just over it and struggling. And but the business was growing, and I felt like he's so talented at what he does, but the business side was kind of lacking. Like it was a schmozzle. I don't think he paid tax for about 4 or 5 years. It was just a nightmare.
Some people would think that's a good thing. No, I'm not.
Oh, I know, that's right. Yeah, I came into the business. I'm like, Craig, you've got to pay all this money. And yeah, that was well received. But anyway, I sort of looked from afar, and my background is in marketing and advertising, and I sort of thought, I think I can really like help here. And so I kind of put it to him, like, what if I was to help, you know, organize the office kind of thing, and gave that a go. Did that 1 day a week, and then it ended up doing really well. So went full time. And I sort of had an idea about business, but not a clue about the trades, or you know, anything about it. I wanted to help him grow it, and I wanted to sort of get more people on board, hire an apprentice, get a team going, get multiple jobs on the go, that sort of thing. But I didn't know where to start looking. So I'd sort of madly I'd Google how to do the bookkeeping. And then I thought, you know, there's got to be other women in this role, whether they want to be in it or not, that, you know, I could maybe ask advice. And then in the shower, had this idea, why don't I start a Facebook group? And then I kind of thought, oh, this is a bit stupid. Like, no one's going to join this. And my girlfriend said to me, you know, if you get 20 people in the group, that's 20 people that you can ask ideas,
Yep.
bounce ideas off. And I said to her, I guarantee 20 people will not join this group. And lo and behold, I think we've now got, 27,500.
Wow.
It just keeps going up and up and up. And everyone was kind of like, oh, we feel exactly like you. So it was a really nice feeling, actually, that everyone sort of felt like they were in the same boat and everyone could lend a hand and support each other.
Yeah, community really is a wonderful thing. I mean, with Black Belt, it's one of the things that I'm most proud of. It's like we create some great information and resources and tools for our members, but it's just the support that everyone gets from everyone else in the community. You just stand back and go, this is amazing. And I could only imagine that, it would be the same thing in Tradie Wives. What are the common challenges that you find that the wives of trades-based business owners have to deal with that you talk about a lot? Hey, I hope you're enjoying the podcast. We're always trying to bring you information that's going to make your life as a builder much easier. So give us a thumbs up and make sure you hit the subscribe button so you don't miss the next episode.
It definitely comes down to there's a multiple amount of things that happen, but it's funny, the waves that come and go. It's kind of like everyone always has the same problems at the same time, and it's all these big waves. And so it's obviously stuff like, in the trade, it's like debt collection, it's not being able to find the right team, it's struggling with how to grow, where to find jobs, that kind of thing. But then also on the other side of things, it's the relationship side of things. So it's how to work together and be husband and wife or partners, and to be perhaps raising children and working as business partners and doing all the things. It's kind of how to juggle all of that in a sort of successful way. And so there is the business side of things, but then there's also kind of the personal side of things, where it's a bit of talk about relationships and how challenging that can be, living and working together.
Yeah. Well, Julie, my wife and partner in Black Belt, runs a Black Belt women's group, and they go away for a spa weekend or whatever. They just go away and have a great time once a year, but they also have conversations sort of monthly. And I think it's just super important being able to speak to people who understand from your perspective. Like in our groups, we have all the husbands and the wives, particularly when we have the face-to-face get-togethers, like the kids are there as well, like the whole family's there, which is absolutely fantastic. But it's just, I think it's absolutely essential doing what you're doing, bringing people together that really understand what's going on with each other, or sharing the common challenges, and the beauty of what you've done, I think, is exactly what your friend said. If you've got 20 people, that's 20 people that can sort of share what's going on, and someone will have one idea and they can share that, and it impacts that other 20 people. In your case, it impacts 27,500 people, which is even more leverage. Before we got going, we were having a bit of a moan and a whinge about how disorganised tradies are. And it's the truth. Let's just own it. It really is one of the most common frustrations you hear from the customer of a builder or of a trades-based business or whatever. It's just the unreliability. They don't show up when they said they're going to, all of that sort of stuff. And we want to fix it, but we've also got to understand that, like particularly a builder, they need to be a psychologist, they need to be a babysitter, they need to be an accountant, they need to be a therapist. It's just amazing and incredible what really is expected of them to run a successful business. And it's so important to be able to share that with people. I mean, I'm sure you know people that are running a business on their own. It's a very lonely place, and so having your partner in the business is really, really valuable, and also can be really, really challenging. What are the challenges that you find that you speak about in your group being married to the person that you're working with, and what are some of the solutions that you're finding?
Yeah, it's definitely hard, I think, having different views on how things should be done, especially from my personal experience is that Craig had the business a long time before I came along, and sort of he had his way of doing things, which of course was the right way, as what he liked, and I would come in and do all this research on different tools and software to help him, streamline things a little bit more. And I'd, spend all this time research it and then go to implement it. And he's like, yeah, I'm not using that. I'm just going to use my Excel sheet. So it's teething issues and I find that a lot in the group as well, that the women, will or the partner will be doing the back, research and that sort of thing, trying to implement things that are going to help, and they kind of resist it by going, no, I want to do my thing, or I'm used to, or I'm comfortable doing this, and they can't really see the bigger picture of how it could potentially change their business and their life. So I think that's kind of a teething issue, and just sort of, I think, realizing from an outsider's perspective and looking in, like, better sort of ways of doing things, like, for example, like sometimes Craig will run to do a quote and it'll be, a big potential quote, and he'll run out the door and I look at him and go, you're not wearing that, are you? Your quote?
God, how many wives have said that to their husbands? You're not wearing that, are you?
You cannot wear, if you go to a quote in that, they will not hire you, I guarantee. It doesn't matter what I'm wearing, it's the information I'm sharing, and they'll hire me based on that. And I go, so I think it's butting heads of how you think things should be done, how they think things should be done, and trying to sort of get around that. But the solution, I don't know. I think just slowly implementing little bits and pieces and watching them see how it can change things, I think, is sort of the way to go.
Yeah. That the first one that you mentioned, I just see and hear about all the time. And from your perspective, do you find that the wife tends to be a little less afraid of technology than the husband? Is that what you notice?
Yeah, and also I think that the trader will be like, I don't have time. They find it really overwhelming, and they think I'm busy enough as it is. I don't want to stop and have to learn how to do this. I just want to keep doing things the way that I've always done them. So I think, I think we seem to have more time to research and really kind of test things. And then, when you sort of jump to the tradie to show them, it just sort of takes time because, they feel like too overwhelmed, too busy. But like I said, when they have a chance to see what changes it can make to their life, and how much time it can free up for them, I think it's very valuable.
Yeah. I suspect, because we've had this conversation in our group before, part of the challenge is to get the male brain to understand that you've got to stop. Like if you're driving around the track in your race car, and they're telling you in the pits, we've got to change a few parts, otherwise you're going to break down, or you're just about to run out of fuel, and they're going, no, I'm too busy racing. Like at some stage you just go, you're going to run out of go. So it's so important to be able to create the space to be able to learn some new systems, some new processes, some new technology, because at the end of the day, it gives you a return on your investment. Just this morning we were recording a podcast with a lady who specialises in Monday.com, Kick Consulting, and the return on the investment that they get for their members by implementing this CRM across the board is in excess of 200%. So, you pay some money, but the value you get back is twice as much. It's amazing. So we definitely need to do that. What are the functions, the get-togethers? How do you have conversations and discussions and all of that sort of stuff in Tradie Wives? How does that work when somebody jumps in and joins? I was about to say the brotherhood, but it wouldn't be that, would it? It joins the group. What do they experience other than sort of having some discussions on Facebook and etc.? I'm Mick Hawes from Builder's Business Black Belt. There's one roadblock in your business that, when identified and fixed, a whole bunch of other frustrating problems will disappear at the same time. So much time, effort, and money is thrown at problems in an attempt to fix them that often doesn't fix the problem and just leads to more frustration. And if this cycle continues, it increases stress and just makes running your own business an unenjoyable pain in the ass. And it doesn't have to be that way. Being a business owner can give you more time and financial freedom, and it can be super rewarding if you do it right. The key is to find your unique roadblock, which you're often too close to the action to see yourself. How do I know this? I've been working in peak performance and business coaching for over 3 decades, and with builders specifically for over 10 years, and I see it every day. So I encourage you to take the Builder's Success Scorecard right now. The link to take the scorecard is in the description. It's free. It'll take you about 90 seconds, and you'll have some quality feedback in your inbox before you know it.
Well, it's sort of very obviously it started as a complete accident, and it's very organically grown now into a business of its own. So I sort of find my time split between working still in the trade business and doing Tradie Wives. So that's been a whole other journey of itself. And Craig often is in the background going, "Hey, remember me? Remember how this started? Like, I still need your help." Oh, Craig, you'll have to find someone now.
Yes, exactly. Find someone else. I'm busy.
That's it. So it's, very organically turned into, now we have a directory where we have professional services. So people in sort of all aspects of trade businesses, professionals that can support the community, which has been great, sort of helping them get through blocks and grow. We've got a podcast ourselves. We run a yearly conference. We had our first one last year.
Nice.
Which is really exciting. And we have also a business academy. So, people can join the group, and if they want to kind of learn a bit more and kind of have a little bit more support, they can come into our academy where we do monthly masterclasses, and we have weekly catch-ups over Zoom because, like we've talked about, it is quite isolating, especially when a lot of the women have come from sort of corporate careers and sort of, like we said, whether they wanted to or not, come into the trade business. And it can feel like almost like a bit of a sense of a loss of identity as well when you're coming into the business. And so we really like to have that kind of weekly catch up where, we can all have a chat and connect, which I feel like a lot of the time is sort of what's lacking as a tradie wife. So it's been a journey.
So how's that done? Like when you're having discussions, you mentioned that you use Zoom a lot, so I'm assuming that you have big Zoom discussions with the members?
Yes, that's right. So we just pop onto Zoom once a week at the same time, and it's sort of very casual. Anyone that's around can kind of pop on and have a chat about, whether it's business or life. I think as well it's important that a lot of the time, like I said, we've come from these sort of corporate roles, when you're around people a lot. So it's almost like having work colleagues as well, which is sort of missing. So to be able to have people who, you can talk to about business, but you can also talk to about, what you did on the weekend or, anything else. So it's sort of having like work friends as well, which I think is really nice.
Yeah. So you mentioned that Craig sort of saying, "Hey, come back over here." What's he? With obviously he still wants you to be supporting him in the business, but what do you think has transpired in the landscaping business that you and Craig run because of your involvement in Tradie Wives? What are some of the things that you have learned from being in that community that have been implemented into the landscaping business that you're now seeing real benefits from?
Yeah, a lot of things actually. That's a really interesting question. I think that one thing that we sort of lacked on in the beginning was having these sort of strong terms and conditions in place when it came to doing business. And a lot of time, we'd have disputes and sort of have nothing concrete in place, but having that now, it makes us a lot more confident, in the business. So having those tight kind of terms and conditions in place when we do work, in case there is issues with, people late pays and that kind of thing. And also just, learning about just managing different kind of clients, different kind of situations. But interestingly, I sort of came on board to help Craig grow the business and like I said, have a big team and multiple jobs on the go. And we sort of did that. So we scaled up, had a good team, had a lot of jobs on the go. And then one day Craig looked at me and he was like,
Nah.
this isn't really what I want. I don't really want this. I don't really want the stress of managing a team. I don't really want, all this happening. I just, I was happy kind of doing what I was doing. So, so then slowly we sort of we went up and then we scaled back down, and now he's just got a team of just he and another guy, and to be honest, they're probably a lot happier and a lot more profitable. But it was a good learning experience to see that kind of growth and then to come back down, because in that growth period, Tradie Wives is really helpful in sort of managing a team. Those those employee problems that you have, with managing a team, that sort of, was really great to be able to ask advice on. But it's been interesting scaling up and then sort of scaling back down.
Yeah. So somebody listening to this, builder or builder's wife listening to it, and the builder might suggest, hey, there's a group out there called Tradie Wives. Why don't you take a look? What's the pathway to you, and when somebody reaches out to you and jumps into the gang, what can they expect? What would be their experience?
Well, you can, if you pop onto our website, which is just www.tradiewives.com.au, you'll be able to see everything that we do on there. And there's a link to kind of join the group. So you can pop into the group. And then it's just a very, open forum, and you come in. We every once a week we introduce all the new members, so you can come and tell us a little bit about what you do in your business and anything that might be troubling you or stopping you in growth. And everyone is just so, I feel very lucky in such a large group. Everybody is very supportive and friendly, and we never really have any issues in the group, which is incredible for that volume of people. But everyone is very, very so generous with their knowledge, and everyone really wants to help and support each other and see everyone doing really well. So it's really nice. So it's just very open, vulnerable, safe. It's a really beautiful community. So you can know as soon as you jump in that you'll be welcomed with open arms.
I noticed on the website, which we will have a link to in the description, so people won't have to search; they'll just go click and end up there. Resources. One of the things that I know, because we're talking about it before we press the go button, was that you've got a podcast. So tell us a little bit about the podcast, who you talk to, what do you talk about, what it's called, where do we find it, that sort of thing, and any other resources that you have for your members.
So you'll find that on the website as well, all the podcast information. But the podcast, we generally have, so we have our professional services, so I talked about. So we've got people in, HR, legal. We've got people that do stuff around relationships, nutrition, because, we understand that, you feeling your best as well will really reflect into your business and sort of help it run at an optimum level. And we also have Tradie Wives themselves coming on and talking about their stories and their journeys, which is really nice. And then we also have a monthly magazine there, which you can find on the website, a business academy, which I spoke about before, that you can come in and sort of, build your skills and knowledge in there, and connect with other Tradie Wives over Zoom. And an annual conference as well. So lots of things that you can find there to help.
So tell us about what's in the Business Academy. What sort of things, topics areas do you cover in the Business Academy, and how does it operate? Is it video based? Is it live conversations? How does that work?
Mhm. So we do like a monthly masterclass.
Yep.
And what I generally do is I sort of look at the main group and see the common pain points that pop up, and see what the real issues are, and then try and find someone to help me solve them. So I'll see the main pain points, grab a professional services partner that we have, and say, hey, this is a really big issue in the group. Could you come on and do a masterclass about it? And so they'll come on, do a masterclass, answer questions. So we have that once a month. And then we have like a library of tools and resources in all aspects of business that you can go into. And a social media course in there as well, helping social media for trades, knowing what to post and what does well and that sort of thing. And yeah, just the weekly catch-ups like I was talking about. So there's, lots of good things in there. And like I said, we have kind of all different people coming on, because I think it's really important to not just focus on the business stuff, but also the personal stuff that comes with it, like, relationships and working with your partner. And, we do a lot of mental health and wellness stuff as well, because I think that's really important to learn how to manage that.
Yeah, super important topic. I feel, listening to you and having done some digital stalking prior to our conversation, that we're kind of really on the same path, just with a slightly different flavour, I suppose. But I just really love what you're doing and really appreciate what you're doing, because having worked with builders and other trades, the difference between the experience of a trades-based business owner when their partner is supporting them is massive. Like, it's so lonely and so difficult when the partner doesn't want anything to do it, doesn't understand anything. You're just like this island, and it's just so difficult. Having an education platform and a support network for the wives of tradies is just such a wonderful thing. I'm really glad that we ran into you and were able to continue to spread the word. Not that it seems like you need a hand doing that with nearly, just coming up to 30,000 people in the group. It seems to be very, very well known, and lots of support and people jumping in, which is just fantastic. But thank you so much for sharing with us. Thank you so much for putting Tradie Wives together. It's such a necessary and important and valuable support network for the whole construction industry. It really is fantastic. So thanks for doing it, and thanks for being on the podcast. It's been terrific.
Oh, thank you so much. And yeah, it's nice to know as well that you're not alone. So that there's all these other people that sort of feel this way. So it's nice to know there's a big community out there. And thank you so much for inviting me on. I really enjoyed chatting to you.
Absolutely, my pleasure. It's always good fun talking about this sort of stuff. So, folks, that is it for this episode of the ToolShed. Whether you're the husband or whether you're the wife or whether you're just hearing this and you know people in trades or what have you, please let them know that Tradie Wives exists. If you're listening to this, there will be a link in the description for you to connect with Tradie Wives. Jump in, join the group, and spread the word, because it is a fantastic thing that is happening. So let people in trades know of the existence of Tradie Wives so we can get more and more people involved. It can only be a good thing. That's it for this episode of the ToolShed Podcast, as I just mentioned, but we'll be back with another one before you know it. I'm Mick Horse from Builders Business Black Belt. That is all. I'm out. Bye for now.
You've been listening to the ToolShed. If this podcast struck a chord with you, make sure you spread the word by sharing it with your mates in the building industry. We love your help to make the building industry better for everyone involved.